Okay. On your paper, listen up. Here we go. On your paper, we want to draw a set of parallel lines. So draw yourself 2 lines that are parallel. I have mine turned landscape. You can turn it either way. Doesn't matter to me. So there's your set of parallel lines. And as you know, if you finished your vocabulary illustrated book, you know that parallel lines should have symbols of lowercase in cursive letters. Okay? So this would be like line J in cursive, small, lowercase. And this one would be line K. Alright? And I would write line J is parallel, that's the symbol, is parallel to line K. So if you were to see this and you had not completed your book, that would look like somebody was writing JLLK or JIIK, who knows. But what that truly means is that line J is parallel, bless you, is parallel to line K. That's what that means. And if something's parallel, that means it's never touching. Now, you also learned that there was if a line cut through a pair of parallel lines, this line also needs a name. It could be like line L.
Oh, I forgot what it was called.
It starts with a T. You probably just did this one.
Transversal.
Transversal. So let's write transversal here. That was one of your vocab words. When all this takes place, okay, some special angle pairs are formed. Alright? Let's review some of your old angle pairs before we get into the special names of the ones you should be learning this year. Let's review some that you should know about from last year. If I were to go in here and put numbers, now I'm just going to put them in random order. 1, 2, 3. Put your numbers where I put mine. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Make sure that you've numbered yours as I have mine, because when we start discussing the pairs and the relationship that they have, it needs to be the same spot where I've placed my numbers. Now, one of the ones that you should know from last year, and maybe even 5th and 6th grade, one of the terms that you should know is this one, supplementary. Okay, supplementary. And for some of you that may not have heard it, it's been a while, or you've forgotten. Supplementary angles, and I usually put a little arc in mine. It's a habit. Supplementary angles, does anybody know what they add up to be?
180.
Yeah, they add up, ADD, add up to be 180 degrees. And these form a straight line, because straight lines are 180 degrees. So they form a straight line. So if I look at some of these angles that we've listed here, can someone name me a pair of supplementary angles? 2 angles that add up to be a straight line. What if I were to do this to it? This may help you determine that. Do you see that those 2 angles, 1 and 3, make this line, line J? Do y'all see that?
Yeah.
This one right here is a small one. What do we call small ones?
Acute.
Acute, small, less than 90. This one would be called obtuse. And when they are adjacent to one another, means side by side, we'll go over that word too, and they form this straight line, they are said to be supplementary. Anytime that this one and this one, when they add up to be 180 degrees and they form a line, it's said to be supplementary angles. Can you name another set of supplementary angles now that I moved the page?
5 and 6.
5 and 6 would also be supplementary. What if I looked this way? 3 and 6 would now be supplementary, and 2 and 7 would also be supplementary. Do you see that they're forming that line? Okay, I'm a visual learner, so when I see it, you can talk about it all day long, but I have to visually see it. Okay, and then if I were to move the page, which ones are supplementary? 1 and 5, 8 and 4. What about now? 5 and 6 are supplementary. 2 and 8, and
6 and 2 we want.
4 and 7. 6 and 2 would not be. Nope. They do form, actually, yes, they do end up, Yeah, they do end up adding up to be 180 degrees.
Yeah,
They do,
it's an
yeah.
acute angle.
Sorry, because one's acute and one's obtuse, and in this setting, all of our measurements are precise and exact. So, and we'll look at that in a minute. Okay, so we've talked about supplementary. What if I say this word? This should be something you know, adjacent.
Side by side.
Yeah, adjacent angles are angles that are side by side or one in front of the other. Okay, side by side. So, for example, Jacob, where he's sitting, he is adjacent to Haley. Do y'all see that? He's adjacent to Haley, but Jacob is also adjacent to Megan, but Jacob is also adjacent to Tiara. Okay, so side by side or one in front of or behind the other. Blake would be adjacent to Ethan, and then nobody is on his left. Is anybody directly in front of him, Blake? No. Is anybody directly behind Blake? No. Peyton would be beside of or adjacent to Mr. West, also Mr. Blanton, and also Mr. Preston. Okay? So get that in your mind. That's what it means to be adjacent, side by side, or one in front of the other. Okay? Now, one other word that you should know, complementary. If an angle is complementary,
It's complicated.
it's complicated, not so much. It has to add up to be a certain amount of degrees. Do I know?
90.
Yep, you got it.
Oh.
Okay. So, complementary angles add up to be 90 degrees. And they might look like this. Let's draw us a little pair. If one of them's 30 degrees, what's the other one need to be?
60.
Perfect. Because they add up to be 90. Notice, are these two angles side by side?
Yeah.
Yeah, this angle's right next to that angle. So these two angles would also not only be complementary, but they would be adjacent. Find another pair of adjacent angles here.
8 and 2.
8 and 2. Are they adjacent? Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes. We need Grant.
That was the
Oh,
correct
that was it.
answer.
That was the signal.
Alright, ready?
Well, you're in the back of the room.
2, 3.
It's, that was the worst.
What does this mean?